phrase, if it's on the internet, it must be true.
Absolutely.
Well, that is obviously true because I got that off of the internet, so that must be true, right?
Right.
The problem, though, is that the quality of where that information came from directly relates to how trustworthy it is. In the early days of computer science, a small phrase was coined in order to illustrate this exact problem. That phrase was essentially shortened to a single word, Gigo, as you can see up here, G-I-G-O, which stands for garbage in, garbage out. You see, despite the fact that we keep making computers more and more sophisticated, they can't actually think for themselves yet. AI has come a long way. It's a little scary sometimes. But right now, computers run off of programs. And those programs are written mostly by humans, meaning there's always the possibility for error. Sometimes these errors have major outcomes on the finished project. One story that I remember reading, I'm an avid video gamer, I love playing video games. Back in 2013, 13 years ago, 12 years ago now, almost 13 years ago, there was a video game that came out that was incredibly hyped by the media. It was based off of the Aliens franchise, and it was supposed to be the next level in horror games. Now, I'm not a huge fan of horror games, but the developers were really well-known developers. It was Gearbox Software, known for making critical successes, Borderlands and Brothers in Arms. And they talked about how revolutionary this game was going to be. The enemies, the AI that they had programmed in the enemies, would make them hunt you down relentlessly. And it's supposed to be a new immersive level of video gaming. Yet when Aliens Colonial Marines released, it was hampered by many flaws. One thing that reviewers kept coming back to over and over again was how bad the aliens were when it came to hunting down the player. The thing that they had talked about, the thing they had bragged about, the thing they said was the best thing about this game was the thing that every viewer said, this is terrible. I can't believe they released a finished game like this. Don't waste your money. Well, fast forward to 2018, and a modder of the game was looking through the files. There are these crazy people out there that love to look at the files and love to see how the video games work and when things go. And he discovered there's just a tiny problem as he was going through the code. You see, he was looking at the section that talked about how this enemies following the player was supposed to work, how the hunting down was supposed to work, how everything is supposed to work together. And he noticed that in the haste to get the game out the door, a programmer had sloppily written the word tether instead of tether. So instead of tethering the character to the alien and the alien trying to find that character, it didn't know what to do and defaulted back to a basic hunt and search pattern that was the basic of the game. The error wasn't big enough to completely break the game. The game was still playable, but it definitely was enough to ruin the way the game handled enemies, with then defaulting to basic attack strategy instead of the original planned hunting down of the main character. Seems like a small error. It's just one letter that was wrong there. Just a little A that got added in. Yet it proved the truth of the statement. Garbage in, garbage out. What is put into the game is always what's going to come out. You know, Jesus said something pretty similar in a conversation he had with his disciples. That conversation can be found in Luke chapter 6, verses 43 through 45, and it says this in the New International Version. No good tree bears bad fruit, nor does a bad tree bear good fruit. Each tree is recognized by its own fruit. People do not pick figs from thorn bushes, or grapes from briars. The good man brings good things out of the good stored up in his heart, and the evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in his heart. For out of the overflow of his heart, his mouth speaks. We're going to see more of how this garbage in, garbage out philosophy connects to us. But first, let's go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, I thank you today for the opportunity to share your message with your people. Please use me today as your truth is heard and absorbed by those here. Guard my tongue, keep my words in line so I don't miss the good things you have planned for today. Amen. The problem starts with garbage in. Now, if you're anything like me, you would never knowingly eat garbage. The very thought is enough to either make you laugh, because it's a funny idea, or enough to make you sick, depending on your temperament. No one wants to go to the trash can, dig a big pile out, and stick it on a plate to eat. If we all know that if it's made it into the garbage can, there's a reason why it's there. Either it's inedible in the first place, or it has gone bad and will make us sick when we try to eat it. As intelligent people, we avoid garbage because it's thrown away for a reason. But, we probably have some creatures in our lives that are not so discerning about things that get thrown in the garbage. Think about a pet, a dog, or a cat, or a chicken, or an alpaca. Something that doesn't understand that when something goes in the garbage, it's there for a reason. I know that of the various dogs my family has owned growing up, when there's something that smells particularly good to that dog, they'll get into it if given half the chance. They'll consume anything in the heat of the moment because it smells good. And it has led to some fantastic examples of what the internet has called dog shaming. Now, I brought a couple of these examples for you to see tonight. Some examples of dog shaming. These are dogs that have done something bad, and they've had their picture taken along with a sign that explains why they're in trouble. So let's start with this one. When my mom wasn't looking, I ripped open her favorite sweater to see what was inside. It was empty. Aww. Just curious, right? How about this one? The one on the left says, I chew on everything, take clothes out of the basket, and poop on the floor. And the one on the right says, I watch him do it. Or how about this one? This one has a rabbit and a dog. The rabbit peed on the dog's bed. The dog ate the rabbit's kale. And of course we have this one. This is one of my favorites. I continue breaking into the bedroom to eat memory foam. Not necessarily the most healthy thing for a dog to be eating, though, is it? This one, I love this because of the list. This is a long list. The one on the right, he's guilty of watching while this is going on. The one on the left that's in the kennel, I broke 2 ceramic bowls, 1 ceramic plate, and I ate 1 fleece jacket, 1 raincoat, 1 PlayStation controller, countless rolls of Charmin, 1 pair of headphones, 1 iPhone cover, 1 tube of chapstick, 1 rug, 2 dog beds, 1 sneaker, part of a laptop, 2 pairs of prescription eyeglasses, 2 pairs of reading glasses, plus I left a log on the front steps and Dad fell and broke his knee.
I don't know how long they were going.
And then my absolute favorite one, this is the one that I always come back to. I eat crayons and poop rainbows. Now, none of those dogs meant to eat garbage or things that were not good for them. They just smelled something that was good and decided it would be great to eat. We laugh at them because it seems so stupid to us, and yet, how often have we consumed something that was bad for us? I don't mean literally eating something rotten or spoiled or poisonous. I mean watching a TV show we know is bad, or listening to a song that is full of swearing or objectifying the opposite sex. Or how about watching a movie, and the movie is funny, and so we laugh at it, but we don't think about the fact that everyone within the movie is just a terrible human being doing terrible things to each other. And if it were really happening to us in real life, it wouldn't be funny at all. You see, we get so caught up in believing that what we watch doesn't affect us. We believe that the media we consume is completely separate from us and has nothing to do with how we interact with the world. But the problem is this: consuming that kind of media normalizes it for us. What I mean by that is that we accept that the fiction we've just watched or listened to is reality, and it's okay for us to act that way. Don't believe me? Talk to some of the teenagers that are walking around that think that things that we would have said were terrible when we were younger are just normal parts of everyday life now. But I'm not just speaking to children, because adults do this all the time too. And when we ingest garbage, we start to accept the fact that the garbage is okay. It changes our opinion from avoiding the garbage at all costs to avoiding some garbage, but some stuff was thrown away by accident. So that's obviously good to get out of the garbage can, right? Eventually, we're eating everything in the trash can and being surprised when we feel sick. And that is sin in a nutshell. The Apostle Paul writes about it in the book of Romans chapter 1 when he says this: "Since men and women did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, he gave them over to a depraved mind to do what ought not to be done. They have become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, and depravity. They are full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, and malice. They are gossips, slanderers, God-haters, insolent, arrogant, and boastful. They invent new ways of doing evil. They disobey their parents. They are senseless, faithless, heartless, ruthless. Although they know God's righteous decree that those who do such things deserve death, they not only continue to do these very things, but also approve of those who practice them." In other words, sin becomes normalized in their life. The problem is when this garbage becomes normalized in our lives, it leads to a major problem. And that problem is garbage in, garbage out. Just like a full trash can getting tipped over, these things spill out into the world around us. This is what Jesus meant when he said, "For out of the overflow of a person's heart, his or her mouth speaks." What's on the inside always comes to the outside. You may disagree with this. You may say that I can listen to the worst music and watch the raunchiest TV shows and then say that I have a level of self-control that is perfect and I can stop from doing those things. And if you do, that's great. You are much better than I am. But if it's stuff you never want coming out, why put it in the first place? You see, when you throw garbage into a trash can, eventually that trash can is emptied and the garbage truck just takes it away. My parents pulled up and they saw me walking down the road to put the trash from the garbage can into the trash because the trash can was full and it needed to be taken out. When we get to that point, it always comes out. But what if, in this example, you had a piece of trash that was so shameful, so embarrassing that you wanted to hide it from everybody, and so every week you got to that point and you got all the other garbage out and then you kept pushing this stuff to the bottom, right? Well, what happens after a couple weeks? You don't have room for regular trash because all the embarrassing stuff has filled your trash can up and is overflowing. Every week you throw out the normal trash but hold on to the really dirty stuff, throwing it back in the bottom trash can, and eventually, don't you think it would pile up? The same thing is true of us. We hold on to the bad stuff in our lives. Sure, it's easy to keep throwing around a swear word or two when we hear them occasionally. But the more we hold on to, the more we try to keep that secret from the rest of the world, who we want to see how good we are, the more that's going to begin to show. The best course of action is to not allow that stuff in the first place. The best defense is not to let that stuff show up in our lives, because the fuller that trash can of secret sin comes, the easier it's going to be for that stuff to fall out. Now, I have here a glass. You see that glass is somewhat full of water right now. It's not completely full, but it's got a lot of water in it, right? Well, that's what the cup was designed for. This cup was designed to hold water in it, hold liquid. And if you ever had one of these in a car, you know that the job that it was designed for is directly proportional to how much liquid is in it. How good it does is directly proportional to how much liquid is in it. Because right now, I can tip it pretty far without the water coming out. If I shake it, a tiny bit came up, but not really anything. But what happens if this cup is filled all the way to the top? And what happens if something gives it a shake then? When there's very little liquid in it, it's very easy for the liquid to stay in. When there's a lot of liquid in it and you don't have a lid, every single bump you hit is going to cause it to come out. And I don't know about you, but I know those times I've been driving down the road and I've hit a bump and I've had an overfull cup that's gotten on me, it's not a fun experience sitting there for the next however long you're going to be driving with wet pants. The same thing is true about what we consume. You see, everything that we consume comes out eventually. Sometimes we try to keep that bad stuff held back, but the more of it that we consume, the more likely it is that it's going to come out when we get bumped. It's the reason why so many people swear when they stub their toes. The harder the bump is, the easier it is for stuff that we don't want to come out to get all over the place. But here is the good news I have for you tonight. See, I talked about garbage a minute ago, and I mentioned that we take the garbage out so the garbage man takes it away. It was a great little illustration, and we can take it even a step further because we have the perfect garbage man in our lives, Jesus. 2 Corinthians 5:21 says this when talking about Jesus. God made him who had no sin to be sin for us so that in him we might become the righteousness of God. Jesus is ready to take the trash out. He's ready to remove it as far from you as the east is from the west. So why do we keep trying to hold stuff back? Or even worse, we might give some of it to him, but then go right back to watching and doing the very same things that were causing the trash to build up in the first place. Jesus loves you and wants that trash out of your life. You have to be the one that makes that decision, though. He's not going to break into your house to steal your garbage. You have to put it on the curb for him to take away. If there's some trash in your life today, some sin you want to get rid of today, Jesus is ready to take it. You can come to this altar and lay it all out for him, choosing not to pick it up after you leave it. The choice is yours, and no one else is going to make it for you. Are you going to hold on to those things that are making you sick, or are you going to let them go? If you feel bad about something, if something doesn't feel right in your life today, this altar is available. Come just as you are and give it to Jesus.